I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Music Theory Tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. We move on now to the second chapter of the Grade 3 Discovering Music Theory workbook. We move on to ABRSM Discovering Music Theory, Grade 3, page 11. And we're looking at the topic of rhythm still. But now we're going to move on to a new topic in this section of rhythm, where we look at simple and compound time. Now, in this sort of the easiest sense, basically simple time, which is the time signatures that you've dealt with so far, is basically where everything divides by 2. And so you can see that we have a crotchet that divides into 2 quavers, or a quaver that divides into 2 semiquavers. And so these time signatures are in simple time. And then compound time is where everything divides by 3. For example, we have a dotted crotchet that divides into 3 quavers. And we'll come back and talk about 3/8 in a moment. But basically, we are counting at first off in quaver beats. So we can see we have 6 quaver beats, but they're grouped in groups of 3. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's reflected in the way these are beamed. And it creates a particularly musical effect where it's kind of a skippy kind of sound, really. So I do suggest that you listen to some examples of compound time to signatures, and it does create a particular musical effect. And 6/8 is always used for what's known as a barcarolle, where it was written to represent the rocking of the Venetian gondolas, just a gentle sort of rocking sound. And so this compound time does give us new musical opportunities. So we can see in these compound time signatures we are counting in 6 quaver beats, 9 quaver beats, which is 3 groups of 3. We can see 1, 2, 3 quaver beats. Dotted crotchet divides into 3 quaver beats, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or we have 12/8, which is 4 groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this is where we do have to take our thinking a little stage further, because although we start off counting 6 quaver beats per bar, in effect this is duple time because there are 2 groups of 3. So ultimately you count each group. So you've got group 1, 2, 1, 2. So in 9/8 you've got 3 groups of 3, and so we call this triple time, and we count group 1, 2, 3. And so 12/8, because it's got 4 groups of 3, we would say this is quadruple time. Group 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how the music flows along. And this is where 3/8 is the kind of the odd one out, because 3/8, although it's counted in quaver beats, is still classed as simple time because it's with 1 dotted crotchet beat. 3 quaver beats is 1 dotted crotchet. You wouldn't count 1, 1, 1. And so that's the one that doesn't quite match where everything else is over 8. We're counting it in compound time here. So although it's a group of 3 counted in quaver beats, it's still classed as simple time. We still count 1, 2, 3. So that is the kind of the odd one out that you just need to be aware of. And I did give a little sneak peek into these compound time signatures in a recent lesson when we were looking at duple and triple time, and I mentioned the flute jig. Well, it's a recorded piece really, and I said this is duple time, so this is 2 groups of 3, and you can see group 1, group 2, group 1, group 2, and then I also mentioned the Grieg nocturne where we say this is in triple time because you can see group 1, group 2, group 3. We would say this in triple time and it's compound. So we're going to delve into this topic a little bit more deeply, but this is our first glance into it, and I did give you a little sneak peek into that in a previous discussion at looking at some musical examples. So if we turn the page over, we'll get to look at these in a little bit more detail. And so we've got to just get our head around some of the options of the time signatures that we've got. And so what's the time signature for 4 dotted crotchet beats? So dotted crotchet, dotted crotchet, dotted crotchet, dotted crotchet. And if we see, we can't say 4/4 because that's 4 crotchet beats per bar. And we know that each of these groups divides into 3 quaver beats. So we've got 1 group of 3, 2 groups of 3, 3 groups of 3, 4 groups of 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 quaver beats. And so that's this one. Remember, the bottom number 8 means quaver beats because if I just refresh your memory, we count the time signatures. So the American term for a semibreve is a whole note, which in kind of fractions maths we would say is over 1. There's our whole. We divide into 2 minims, which can also be referred to as half notes. And so we've divided into halves, so thinking of your fractions, your bottom number is 2. If we divide again, these are our crotchets, we get 4 crotchets to 1 semibreve. And so because we've divided into quarters now, these can be also referred to as quarter notes. And so the bottom number is 4, if you're thinking of your fractions. And if we divide again, we've now doubled again to have 8 quavers to a semibreve, and so we could call these 8th notes, and so our bottom number, like the fraction, would be over 8. And so our time signature, when it's bottom number 8, we know that we're counting in quaver beats, and so we've got 12 quaver beats. However, that doesn't mean there are 12 beats per bar as we play it. Musically, we then have to take it a step further, and we would say there are 4 dotted crotchets, 4 groups of 3. We've got group 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and so the performer then has to kind of take it a step further, but 12/8 is the math that we need for the time signature. So it's then easy to answer how many quavers are there in a bar of 6/8. So if the bottom number is 8, we know we're counting in quaver beats. And if the top number is 6, we know that there are 6 quaver beats. And because it's compound time, we group them in 3s. So there we go, we know the answer is number 6. So which of these is a compound time signature? So we know that that is 2 crotchet beats per bar. That is 3 crotchet beats per bar. Here that's 6 quaver beats, and that's 3 minim beats. And this is the one that's the compound time signature, because 1 crotchet divides into 2 quavers. That's simple. 3 crotchets, a A crotchet divides into 2 quavers, that's simple. And then we can see that our minim divides into 2 crotchets, that is also simple time. 6/8 is grouped in 3s. And if I just grab another piece of paper, it's worth noticing. Let's look at the difference between 3/4 and 6/8. Because although 6/8 is 6 quaver beats, and we could have 6 quaver beats in 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got a bit carried away there. In 6/8, because it's compound time, that's groups of 3. 3/4, because it's simple time, is groups of 2. And so 3/4 has got 3 beats in a bar. It's triple time because it's got 3 groups of 2, whereas 6/8 is 2 groups of 3. That's duple time. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and, like a waltz feel. And here we've got 1 and 2. And so you can see there's a big difference, even though mathematically it would add up to the same number of quaver beats. The grouping changes everything, musically speaking. Now then, last one in this exercise 1, how many dotted crotchet beats are there in a bar of 9/8? And so if we just sketch out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there are our 9 quaver beats, and each group is the equivalent to a dotted crotchet, because quaver gives us a crotchet, the dot is half as much again. We can see that we have 3 dotted crotchet beats. 9/8 is triple time. So if you think that you're getting the hang of this, then do move on and try exercise 2 on your own. Always work in pencil. I know that I always say this, but that's okay. It's okay to learn by your mistakes. You can just erase it out and have another go. So I'm hoping that you've had a go of exercise 2. And we've got to show where each beat falls. But remember, we're showing each dotted crotchet beat, we're showing each group of 3. But before we can do that, we have to then, first of all, find the time signature. So we know that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 quaver beats per bar. And then we count it in groups. So there's beat 1, because we're counting in dotted crochet beats. So there's group 1, there's group 2, there's group 3. We can see there's 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a. Now that's quite simplistic in that it's all just quavers. Of course we could have any number of combinations that would add up to the same amount, but it would still be grouped to show each group of 3 quaver beats. Here as well, you could actually beam over the rest like that. So we'll be looking at more complex rhythms later, but just be aware, at the moment, however, we've got quite simple groupings to show those unit beats. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, and then a crochet divides into 2 quavers, and the dot gives us another quaver, so there's our next group of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quaver beats. And then we just count each group. So there's group 1, or, oh, I said 1 and wrote 2. There's group 1. And there's group 2, or beat 2 as you would say. So what have we got here? 1, 2, 3. And then here is a crochet divides into 2 quavers. The dot gives us another quaver. So there's another group. 1, 2, 3, and then here we have a crochet which divides into 2 quavers, and there's our missing quaver beat. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 quaver beats, and then we show each group, and the beaming kind of helps us to see that very easily, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4, remembering that 12 over 8 is quadruple time, 4 dotted crochet beats per bar. So here we have a crochet rest, which is worth 2 quaver beats, and then the dot is half as much again, so there's our first group of 3, and there's our second group of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quaver beats per bar. There's beat 1, which is silent, and beat 2. And then here is 1, 2, 3, and then a dotted crochet gives us another 3. A crochet gives us 2 quavers, and then there's a quaver rest. There's our final one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 over 8, 9 quaver beats per bar. There's beat 1, there's beat 2, there's beat 3. And that's the end of that second page in this chapter regarding compound and simple time signature. We'll delve into that more as we progress through the chapter. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.